So guys, today we're going to talk about the famous P Company. So guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is feeling well. My name is Kyle. I used to be in the British Army, and today I'm going to talk to you about the famous P Company or PEGASUS Company, whichever one you want to call it. I'm going to give you my experience on it, and I'm going to give you a bit of advice on how you can go about doing it. And then I'm going to talk you through the different events and my sort of take on the different events. So if you do end up liking this video, then give it a thumbs up and possibly subscribe. It'd be really appreciated. Without any further ado, let's get into the video. So a little bit of backing then. What is P Company? P Company stands for PEGASUS Company, and it is a 5-day course that you will do at ITC in Catterick Garrison. You will either do this as part of an all-arms P Company course or part of your Parachute Regiment basic training. So let's talk about the Parachute Regiment basic training. Normally you would go all the way through your basic training up to about week 21, I believe. I'm not Parachute Regiment, so don't take this as gospel. About week 21, you will go onto P Company, which is a 5-day course that runs from halfway through the week to the following Tuesday. So you start on the Wednesday and then it finishes on the Tuesday. You normally get the weekend off as part of the all-arms course, but I'm not sure as part of Parachute Regiment. You'll have to let me know if you are, any of you out there are Parachute Regiment. I'm thinking because you're in basic training, you probably won't. So like I said, it's a 5-day course, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Tuesday, Monday, and you will do 8 events over them days, exactly the same as the all-arms one. So that is part of your basic training. After that, you're allowed to take the backing out of your cap badge, and you've pretty much passed P Company. You would then go to your regiment, and then you would go to your basic parachuting course, which is in Oxford, in RAF Brize Norton, and you would stay up there until you get your British Wings. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others. Sometimes you get through straight away, just depending on air availability, so aeroplane availability. The other route you can go down is the all-arms P Company course, which is what I did. So the way to go about that is you would normally join as a trade, normally, or if you are going something like guards or something like that, you can do it as well. But normally, majority of people that do it are going into trades like the artillery, the engineers, the REME, medics, whatever it may be. All them people would be joining. They do the basic training and the trade training. Once they leave their trade training, if they go to somewhere like 16 Air Assault Brigade, you would be required to go onto what's called an all-arms P Company course, which is a little bit longer than the Parachute Regiment side of it, because they do it as part of their training. The all-arms P Company course, how we used to run it in my regiment is you would do a 3-week regimental beat up, so just within people within 7 RHA, which is what I was in, and then after that you would go into a brigade beat up, which is another 3 weeks. So you would have the artillery there, the medics, engineers, all the different trades that are going to the all-arms course. So you do 6 weeks there in total, and then you would go up to ITC Catterick, where you would do a further 2 weeks of sort of conditioning, pre-conditioning, or whatever it is, where they'll put you through different sort of tests and fitness events and stuff like that, and make sure that you are ready for P Company test week itself. When you finally completed them 2 weeks, you would go on to the famous P Company, which is the same as what you would do as Parachute Regiment. You do the 5 events, following the same format, from the Wednesday to the Tuesday, and then after that you would do a parade and you would be presented with your maroon beret, and that is you past P Company. Once again, you go back to your regiment and you would be able to go onto your basic parachuting course, which is at the same place, RAF Brize Norton. Once you've done that, you'd be classed as an airborne soldier. For the Parachute Regiment people out there, we are not parachuters, we're airborne soldiers. So there's a lot of sort of hate behind other people within 16 Air Assault Brigade call themselves paras. We're airborne soldiers, or airborne artillery, or airborne medics, whatever you want to call it. Parachuters are Parachute Regiment. So just bear that one in mind. You don't want to step on anyone's toes and all that sort of jazz. I want to keep it nice and civil around here. So that's a bit of backing on how you can go about doing it. Let's talk about the different events. So the first event then, just bear in mind, most of the time, by the time you get to these events, you are absolutely fragged anyway. So you've either done the massive beat up for all arms, or you've been through basic training. So by the time you get to these events, you're pretty fit, but your body is starting to sort of feel wear and tear. So the first event is going to be the 10 miler, which is over obviously 10 miles. You do this in 1 hour and 50 minutes with 37.5 pounds on your back, plus rifle and water and all that sort of stuff. So quite heavy sort of kit, and you do that in 1 hour 50, like I said. So this event is very, very fast. At first, you'll feel it sort of in your shins. The best thing to do, I think, with this event is just to try and stick with it. Them first 3 miles are going to feel like your shins are going to come off. But once you get through the first sort of half of it, it seems to get like a little bit slower, and it bores a little bit. To me, I found it a little bit boring towards the end, because I think they step off really quick, and then they sort of slow it down when they realise how fast they're doing it. So that's the 10 miler. Nothing to worry about. By the time you get there, like I said, and you've done all the beat up, you will be easy, in good enough shape to get this done. It's all just about doing it up there, having a bit of mindset, getting through that first half of it and sticking with the pack. The next event is going to be the TRAINASIUM. This is probably one of the most famous ones. You will see this. It looks like a sort of aerial assault course. There's a lot of videos on it. If you've seen that Paris TV program, you'll see them doing it on there. And the only thing that people sort of get worried about with this is obviously the height. You do have to climb up a sort of 20-foot cargo net and then do a couple of obstacles up in the air, and then the famous sort of Superman punch where you have to jump and Superman punch through the net. I'll try and stick some sort of videos and stuff on screen so you know what I'm talking about. But this is a pass or fail event, so if you do not pass this, you cannot pass the whole course, so you need to pass this. And there's some events that you can pass and some events that you can fail. Obviously, ideally, you want to pass them all. Next one, the log race, probably is the hardest event, and I'll be brutally honest with you now, guys. I'll probably get some shade in the comments of this. I did come off the log about bloody 200 meters from the end. I'll tell you the backing story. A few people had came off our log already. We went down a massive hill and went to some tank tracks full of mud, and my legs went and I just pulled myself off. I had a moment of weakness, pulled myself off. So what you would have on the log race, you have a telegraph pole with 8 people on it, and it weighs quite a bit. You do not get any changes on it, and this is run over 1.8 miles. So you're going pretty quickly. You've got staff screaming and shouting at you. And as people start to sort of give in and drop off, the telegraph pole still has to keep moving. And I think we had about 4 people left on mine, maybe 5. And my legs went and I snapped in my brain and came off. So a bit of weakness on my behalf, but I'm being honest with you, so you can't criticize me too much. That's the log race, probably one of the most difficult ones. Like I said, this isn't a pass or fail, but you have to stay on either the log race or another event that we're going to talk about in a bit, which is going to be the stretcher race. So let's talk about the stretcher race then. The stretcher race is done over 5 miles, and you normally have teams of 16. So you'll have 4 people on the stretcher. The stretcher weighs about 100 kilo, give or take, and you carry it at the shoulder. You'd race this over 5 miles, and the staff will tell you when to change and things of that nature. Like I said in the previous event, you do have to stay on either the log or the stretcher. I stayed on the stretcher, even though at the end I was getting slammed. I had to stay on the stretcher for a couple of times in a row, and they didn't take me off. But I managed to hang in there and get through it, and obviously went on to pass P Company. But this is something that you need to stay on, either this or the log, to show that you've got the sort of grit and determination to get through it when it's getting tough. Once again, very difficult event, and most of it is just like up here. What I found is it's hard when you're on the stretcher, but when you come off, the staff normally make the stretcher go a lot faster by saying stand by go, and they take off and you're already hanging. So the hardest thing to do is to stick with the stretcher, but if you stick with it and keep going, it's definitely doable. I got through it. So yeah. The next event, a 2 miler, pretty easy event. Like I said, by this time you should be pretty goddamn fit, and you should be able to do this. So the first mile of this is with the staff, and you would be carrying your Bergen with 37.5 kilos in, and a helmet and a rifle. And you would do the first mile with the staff at their pace as a squad sort of thing, but normally it gets spread out. And then when you get to the mile change, it's best effort all the way back in, and you want to be doing this under 18 minutes. The quicker you do it, the better, really. I know people that were coming in at like 12 minutes and something like that. So when you get let go at the top, because it normally, well, the way I did it, you come to the top of a hill and then you get let go and you can sort of take off. So use that time to sort of blitz it and get away and get a good time. The next one, quite a fun one. It is a little bit hanging. It's called the steeplechase, and the best way to describe this is 2.2 miles through loads of mud and obstacles with a little bit of an assault course at the end. You've got to do this once again in under 18 minutes to get maximum points, and it's not that hard really. You've just got to keep running. Normally you do it with webbing and a rifle on your back, and you have to get through different obstacles and stuff like that, and get around it as quick as you possibly can. I did quite well on this event, so I enjoyed this one. Next event, one of the most famous ones, definitely, and something that unfortunately I couldn't take part in due to my eyesight. Don't ask me why, but it is milling, so boxing. I wasn't medically fit to box. My doctor in Colchester said that I wasn't allowed to box. When I went up to Catterick, they said I could have boxed. However, they can't override that doctor's decision, so I wasn't allowed to, so I had to actually sit there. Fortunately, I wasn't penalised for the score, so I didn't lose or get any points for it, so they just made it like milling wasn't part of my P company. There was nothing I could do about it. It was out of my control. Obviously, I wanted to do it, but I couldn't do it. It was it felt a bit crap actually sitting on the sidelines where everyone else was doing it. But hey ho, milling, just boxing basically, but you're not allowed to dodge, duck, or evade any sort of attack. Straight punches to the face as hard as fast as you can until someone wins, basically. You're not allowed to box like bloody Sugar Ray Leonard and start dancing around. You have to throw straight punches, and as soon as they say stop, you bloody stop. Because what they want to see is controlled aggression. The best one you can get out of this, the best sort of result is going to be a draw, because then both of you and your mucker both get full points. If you get a win, obviously you get full points, but if they lose, they don't get full points. So the best thing you can get is a draw, because then you both get full points in it. But if you're someone that's going for P Company champion, then you might want to win. So the last event then, the 20 miler, this is the grinder. The 20 miler is done with your Bergen on your back, carrying 37 pounds. Plus rifle, and it is normally done in a place called Otterburn, which is just off the border of Scotland. It's a training area that's quite well known in the military anyway, and you go up there and you use the arduous terrain. You have to do this event, this 20 miles, in under 4 hours and 30 minutes. Now, it's led by the staff, but majority of the time the pack does get spread out quite a bit. It's nowhere near as fast paced as the 10 miler, but it's more of like a grinding sort of just long, cold march with obviously all your kit on. You've just got to try and stick with it as best you can. When you get to the water stops, which are done in quarters sort of thing, get some water on board, even though it is cold, and sort of look after yourself. Most of the time it's people's feet and stuff like that. My hands went, because when we crossed over into the border of Scotland, it was very, very cold because we were at quite a bit of an altitude, and my hands were killing because they were that cold, and I was trying to get my gloves on. I couldn't even get them on because my hands were that cold, and I was trying to bite them on. So it's very, very difficult because of the cold, and it's just long and sort of arduous terrain, but definitely doable. And obviously the commandos do a 30-mile march, which is in 8 hours. So we're doing 20 miles, and basically half the time is what they do. So it is relatively quick, but nowhere near as quick as the 10-miler. And I'm sure a majority of people can get it done if you just stick your mind to it. So guys, that is the end of the video. I'm just going to talk a little bit about my experience on P Company, and sort of hopefully it'll give you some indirect advice and help you sort of not make the mistakes I did. So the first time I went on P Company was 2012, and at the time we were on the Olympics, so the army was doing security for the Olympics. So we didn't do the original sort of beat up things where we have to do 3 weeks in camp, 3 weeks with brigade. We just went straight up to Catterick and did P Company up there. Now, when I was on the Olympics, I was, let's say, not preparing myself correctly. We were in the heart of London. We were going out drinking and stuff like that all the time. So when I went up there, I got a big fat Freddy, and I got sent home pretty quickly. That snapped it in my mind there. When I went back, I had to sort my shit out, and I went and got on top of my PT. I went straight back on the next P Company and joined Regimental Pre-Para, and I did absolutely fine on the second time round. Like I spoke about, the only thing that I came off on the whole of the 9 weeks was that log race, which was a bit crappy as well because it was only 200 meters away from the end. And when I like reflect on that now and I look back, I think bloody hell, I could have easily stayed on that. I just had to suck it up for a little bit longer. But it is very, very difficult, the whole 9 weeks, if you're going to do all arms, because what you're trying to manage is injuries. You're doing a lot of PT throughout them 9 weeks. Most of the time, 2 PT sessions a day, doing heavy marches, loaded marches over long distances and stuff like that. And it'll be the same for the guys that are going through Power Edge. Obviously, injury is a big thing because you're doing that much activity, you're getting smashed that much. So my main bit of advice here is, if you are going on to P Company, whether you go on Parachute Regiment and you're going that way, or you go on, you think about doing All Arms P Company and doing it that route, think about your recovery as much as you possibly can. And stick with it as best you can. I know it's easier said than done. Stick with it. Everything comes to an end eventually. What they just want to see is that you've got the grit and determination to sort of get through these hard, challenging times. Then after that, you can go away and do your basic parachuting course and get the glorious British Airborne Wings and be part of the brotherhood, as we call it. So yeah, that's my take. I hope you enjoyed this video and it gave you a little bit of an insight into my experiences and P Company itself for the people that are thinking of going down that route. Hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you in the next one.